It's Jeremy from jeremy.net. So, this is another in a series of videos that's following the progress I'm making on this particular piece, which I'm finding challenging. And the challenges are really just that I'm trying to make a better piece of art than I've made before. Trying to up my level in terms of anatomy, in terms of the figure, the pose, the color and lighting that I'm moving towards. And the difficulty in that is finding out what I need to change in my process and what I need to stick with. Because in order to do work that's different than what I've done before, even if that difference is really just the quality, I have to figure out what... If I use the exact same process that I've been using for making all of my comic book pages and my illustrations I've been doing for the past few years, then it's going to look exactly like that work. And I've developed a process that gives me results that I'm generally pleased with. But in that uncomfortable attempt to try and grow, improve, to go to a new level, it means I need to do an interesting dance back and forth between doing what works and figure out how to do that better, and then saying, well, what do I need to do differently? When I first started looking at this video, watching the drawing again, I was immediately like, well, I don't hate this drawing that much. At first when I was just working the torso, I was like, this isn't as bad as I remember it being. But now, as I'm continuing to watch this over again, I see now like just how badly out of proportion the arms are. The complete, it's not a complete lack of foreshortening, but with the arm that's holding the sword, just that it does not at all convey the type of foreshortening, it doesn't convey the foreshortened volumes that I'm looking for. It just looks like something that's squished instead of looking like a forearm that's coming towards you and an upper arm that's sort of coming towards you at kind of a 3/4-ish angle. And you don't get any of that in this image. And like I said, I've gone back, and you'll see me continue to work this drawing through. I think I have it all the way to a finished drawing, but if not, I'll also show you as I start the process of doing a second version. But the thing that in the end made me kill this version there were two things. One was the proportion of the figure. Then the second was the anvil itself, because the anvil, the sword, and the hammer are really what this piece is about. It's not about the person holding the sword. This is more about the creative process. And it's kind of ideal that I'm having difficulty with a piece that's about the struggle that one goes through when they're trying to produce artwork and they're trying to strive to do something better than they've done before, to break new ground. And for me, it's not breaking new ground in terms of I'm creating revolutionary art. It's breaking new ground in terms of personal record. Because in the end, I'm not competing with anyone else. There are tons of artists out there. There's always going to be artists that are better than I am. There's always going to be artists that I can learn from. There's always going to be artists that I'm never going to be able to do what they do. In the end, the only person you're competing with is yourself. You're starting at a certain point of skill, and you continue to grow and learn. And as you do, you are trying to reach newer and newer levels, higher heights. But that competition is not between you and your fellow creatives. That competition is between you and yourself. And it's tough to fight an internal war, an internal battle, without beating yourself up and being negative or talking about your own artwork or your own self, your own ideas, your person, without talking about yourself in a negative manner. I don't try to take the difficulties I'm having with this as me being a bad artist. It's about me fighting with a piece, and I'm sharing that fight and that battle with you. Now, to go back to the anvil, the problems that I had with it is that when I concepted this piece out, I imagined it like this broad, flat area that I could lay the sword across so that I could have the sword at an angle where you can see the text on it. Kind of put the emphasis on this hammer coming down on the sword over the surface of the anvil. So the anvil was designed to facilitate that, a broad, flat table area. But it didn't feel right. And then I went and did a little bit more research. Even though the silhouette of an anvil was in the ballpark, anvils, once I looked at some photos of them, tend to be a lot narrower. And the end there's the pointed end that you see on the right side in this sketch. And then the what is a blunt end on the other side actually tends to be a large, flat surface that's kind of like a diving board. And it has a curve that comes from the underside into the main body of the anvil. And it also, there isn't a little drop the way I have it here, where there's the front end, the top surface, then I've got a little bit of a drop where the boat-shaped side on the right is. But on a regular, and they also have a drop on the other side, but it tends not, in an anvil, not to be a drop. It tends to be just a large, flat plane that juts out from the top surface. So in looking at this, I was like, why doesn't this anvil feel right? Why doesn't this anvil feel right? And even though I didn't have a mental idea in my mind of what an anvil I had a vague idea, and I did the drawing based on the vague idea of what an anvil is supposed to look like. But somehow, in looking at this, I was like, it's not right. And that's when I went and did the research that I should have done from the start to make sure that I was designing it around a properly shaped anvil. So, and I do feel a little bit bummed about the fact that I went in here and I'm putting all these details in this drawing on the back wall, all these different weapons and shields. And, I really tried to think out the environment and make it feel like a surface that has a room that has a lot going on in it. It's got hooks for all the different things, a rack in the back for spears and for longer weapons. So I tried to really think all of those things out, which I'm still debating how I'm going to deal with those things in the final piece. Because in the new version I'm doing, a lot of these racks aren't there. It's a lot more ephemeral, and it's more like an interesting, more organic stone texture that's on the wall. And that's based on one particular watercolor thumbnail I did that so far feels the most like what I want this piece to feel like. And this whole process, all these different sketches, that's a big challenge, mainly in that most pieces I have a very clear picture in my mind of what I want the end result to come out as, and the success or failure is just how close I get to that picture. Whereas in this time, even though I've done multiple thumbnails, I'm still working out exactly what I want the final piece to be like in my mind, and I'm going to share that process with you too. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please like and share them. Visit my resources page for free creativity tools and comic books at resources.jeremy.net. That's resources.gerimi.net. Also, visit my main website, jeremy.net, where you can buy my comic books, art prints, and more. There's also links to my Instagram, Twitter, and other social media accounts. That's it for now. Go be creative.